I think it's important to schedule or reach out to schedule as early as possible, because so often, even like 2 months before the conference and, early December, you're experiencing a little bit of break in your regular work schedule and you feel like you have time to do all of this outreach and schedule meetings. And lo and behold, half the people that you might be, looking to meet with already have their meetings full. So other people have beat you to the punch. So I think it's important to reach out early and also to use tools to make it easy for people to schedule their meetings with you.
So when I'm building a relationship with a brand new venue, I'm thinking about what we have on our roster that might be a good fit and a reason why I'm contacting them. Maybe we have an artist showcasing at APAP that I really want to make sure they know about. Maybe we have an artist coming to a venue 4 hours away from their city, and I think they might work really well in the routing. The more specific I can be about why I think they should talk to us, the better. Maybe I see that they do a lot of workshops in the community, and I know that one of our artists is really talented in that and can offer it in different languages. So I'm trying to get specific. I'm trying to be brief and include that information of why I'm contacting them within that first paragraph. And then just also be understanding. I know folks get a ton of emails and not everyone's going to get back to me. And the work that I can do to make sure I'm relevant to the people I'm reaching out to, I think helps with that noise.
One of the things that I wish that I had known as an agent the first time I was there was just how overwhelming it can be with all the people around you and trying to locate who you're meeting with and knowing, for the first time, maybe what somebody looks like. So to maybe have a Zoom in advance or to look on a website and see if there's a photo for the person you're supposed to meet with. I wish that I had known that, because I think that would have helped me navigate that first time with all the meetings that had been scheduled.
Make sure that you have some great visuals in your booth. A lot of people use the retractable banners because they're easy to transport, they're easy to change up, every conference season if you want to do that. But make sure those visuals are eye-catching. And then as far as materials in the booth, remember, a lot of people are flying into a conference and they don't really like to carry a lot of heavy material back with them on the plane. So keep your materials light. We do have a brochure that's sort of the size of a playbill, but depending on what conference we go to, there are some conferences where they don't want to take the playbill and they would rather just take a roster one sheet we have that has QR codes for the different artists. And I think people are traveling lighter, they are getting more used to looking at materials online. I would also make sure that if you are engaged in a conversation with someone in your booth and then somebody else stops by, I would have a way for them to sign up to let you know that they stopped by, so that you can follow up with them later. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, just hey, let me know who you are and I can get some information to you after the conference. Take business cards, pens, hand sanitizer, breath mints. Those are all also really good things to have in the booth that kind of keep you refreshed and going.
Whether you're brand new to exhibiting or you've done it before, don't set up any natural barriers. I know some folks maybe aren't super comfortable just standing at the very front of their booth or whatever, or you tend to pace back and forth, but just smile, talk to your neighbors. It's better to be standing than sitting. It's a little bit of a barrier, and when people put that table in front rather than on the side, also just think about, it's like body language, right? Your booth has its own body language, so think about that. Have it well lit, well organized, and just make sure there's space to meet, but don't sit unless you're meeting.
It's to take good notes after a meeting. I will get home and look at this note and it'll just say, Steve. Who is Steve? You want to write down who people are, where they're from, what you talked about, if you discussed fee. Those notes really will help you 2 weeks afterwards. It feels like you're going to remember everything about your new best friends, but you probably won't. And then when you do that follow-up, you can also be as specific as possible about, oh, we talked about this. I want to follow up with this information. And again, be building those meaningful relationships that after of APAP is also really important.
For new exhibitors, I would say just make sure that you respect your neighbors who are also exhibiting. Don't pull other, presenters away from meetings that they're having, or try to interrupt to, squeeze your way in there. I think it's important to understand that we're all in this together and to respect, your neighbors as well as your presenters' time, and make sure that you don't go over your allotted time as well, because those presenters then are going to be late to their other meetings. So it's just really important to be prepared for the pitches and the fit for who you're going to meet with, and make sure that you stick to your schedule so that you then don't have another presenter or organization waiting for you in line, and that those people then can get to their next meeting. So it's a matter of being cognizant of the time, being respectful of your presenters that you're meeting with, as well as your exhibiting neighbors.
There are so many meetings and people you meet so many people over the course of the conference, whether you have a meeting set up with them in advance or you meet somebody, spontaneously there. When you're trying to establish those relationships, just remember that this is a long process. It's a long game. It's not that every person you meet at a conference is going to do business with you right then or within the next 12 months. It really does take time to get to know the presenters and network. And you have to sort of build that into your psyche and your expectations.
I just think it's important to be yourself, not to be pushy, and to know that if you have a relationship that you're cultivating or that's in place, you can always lean into that later. It's more important, I find, to just develop that actual relationship naturally, and to have it be a genuine relationship, not have it just be, like you're checking out at the counter kind of thing.
Navigating the expo hall is an adventure. So I think there's two ways to do it. One is just ride the wave and wander around and see what captures your eye. And I always kind of enjoy that. I always try to take a turn around all of the rooms just to get a snapshot of this is where our field is right now. Even if you're not looking for particular work, it's nice to see what's there, what people are doing. It really does feel like a neighborhood in a lot of ways to me, because you see different neighbors that you've maybe known for a long time. You see new people, and that's really exciting. On a practical level, though, it's also good to have your meeting schedule mapped out, know where you're going, and really be prepared to run into some traffic jams and really be know exactly where you're trying to go for sometimes, but again, do leave some of that time for just taking in the sights and sounds. It's definitely a experience that you need to have firsthand, rather than trying to imagine it.
For the expo hall, take your time and get to maybe talk to some folks that you maybe have not met before, but also that maybe lie a little outside of what your programming needs are, just because you never know what someone's going to be able to offer. For me personally, I am a bit of like an introvert extrovert, so I have to chunk my time out in places like expo halls, because if I do it all at once, it becomes very overwhelming.
Don't push your way into conversations, especially if you notice that this is a scheduled appointment between two people that look heavy in business. Let it go, move on, and come back to them when they're free.
Remember, if you can, to try and plan your meetings in one area so that you're not jumping up and down multiple floors, zipping across big swaths of geography. So if you can, try and condense your meetings for America's Hall 1 into all being about the same time. Now, I keep talking about meetings. You may not have any meetings set. I hope you do. But if you don't, that's okay. When you're walking through the expo hall, make a note of a booth that strikes your eye for whatever reason, and come back and see them when they have an available meeting time. Or if you're lucky enough to have a couple people in that booth where one is not actively engaged in a conversation, then it's okay for you to say, hey, I have a question about this artist on your roster or something like that. So those are good things to keep in mind.